All right, here we go. Let's get started. First off, thanks for taking the time to come out and be with us live. There'll be some questions that I would love your guys' input and feedback, kind of pick your guys' brains. I imagine some of you play some version of a 4 and 5 as a center back, or maybe even kind of rotate through there at times and want to kind of know more about it and kind of go over some of the tactical situations. So when I ask questions, you can either just unmute yourself and provide an answer or a question you may have. You can also utilize the chat in which you can type up any questions or answers you may have. If you don't know where to find the chat, you can look at the menu bar. It could be one of the buttons, or if it's not listed right away, clicking on more, then chat and popping up, and just type in anything you may have to add. First thing to start off with, right, is looking at the numbering system, right? When we talk about 4 and 5, looking at the left and right center back. Most of the conversation here today is going to result of the 4 and 5 playing with within 4 in the back line. So not to say there aren't other formations that can be played where they play with 3 in the back, but our main concept today is going to be looking at 4 in the back, and then regardless of what's set in front, whether you're playing a 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, any of those type of formations here. First off, just to get us going, going to look at a little video, get us excited about defending. All right, we got the idea here. All right, so looking to start off is when we kind of look at the position, we're going to start off kind of looking out of possession key qualities here, right, for us to talk about. So like I said before, if you have, I'm going to open it up to you guys of, can we try and name some key qualities when we're out of possession as a center back that one should have? You can either answer verbally or you can type it into the chat. What are some things that stand out for you about a center back out of possession? Aggressive, right? Aggressiveness for sure. Just like in the last video, we saw a lot of tackles. Stopping the shot or pass, great one. Leading your team, another great one. Looking at stopping the shot or pass, we'll definitely look to go over the tactical situation of kind of defending it around the box, right? And leading your team, I think absolutely from the standpoint of you're in the spine of your team. You're also the farthest person back besides the goalkeeper, in which you can see the whole field. So being vocal, being loud, organizing your team is a great one. We've got, right, trying to win the ball back, absolutely. Being able to defend 1v1s, great. Confidence for sure. Last thing we said, trying to make sure teams offsides are making sure we're not leaving anybody back to keep someone onsides, right? Being organized as a back line. These are great ones. So here are some lists that I've put together here. Looking at, right, good positioning, thinking the back line. I think that also attests to kind of thinking about the offsides, thinking about our shape, the back four, being able to read the game. Some people talked about leadership, right? Showing communication, being a general on the field. I think another good one is a lot of times is you're probably inside the box or around the box where there's going to be services or big balls that you're going to have to be able to win it out of the air. Heard a lot of you talk about blocking shots. One that I'm curious to see of your guys' thoughts. Does anyone understand when it means can switch from zonal marking, right, to tracking players as well as passing them off when necessary?
Maybe like if a player, like their 9 is running across the field, you might want to let your, like, let's say you were playing the 4, you might want to let the 5 know that they're coming so that they can watch and guard them so that you don't get split or then they don't find any open pockets.
Absolutely. So a lot of times you'll see, and she used the example of a 9, right? A 9 making a run across the back line. They'll tend to make a lot of diagonal runs. And so there's times of when we want to be able to track that player. But when we talk about positioning, not being pulled too far out of shape, going to need to be able to communicate with your partner in this example of your center back, or maybe it even could be an outside back, of tracking that run. So when they do either try to play to their feet or in behind you, that we're able to pick that up, right? So always being able to kind of be aware, be organized, knowing the area of the field you're picking up, and as players start to make runs, we're looking to communicate and passing them on. Definitely. So looking at some tactical situations here, one we're going to look at kind of defending in and around the box. Then we're going to look at right, kind of defending against the long ball. So if you look at the field here, right, let's say that we're the team in blue, right, defending kind of in and around the goal. So one of the big things that we talked about already was leadership, being a general on the field. So when you're the farthest person back and you can start to see where everyone is, it's important that we are vocal to those in front. So in this example, we have the blue team is set up in a 4-3-3. So if we have our middle 3, right, looking to help defend, we can look to organize and communicate to them which way to step, which way to force play. So in this example, right, 4 and 5s, what are there any certain positions that you would look to communicate to in this picture?
6.
Yeah. So what might you tell the 6?
When to step and when to like drop off and hold.
Yeah, that's a great one.
The 7 and 11, mostly the 7.
Okay. So let's go back to the 6 here. I think it's a great when we talk about, right, when to step, when to drop off, right? How could you use the 6 to help yourselves defend the 9? Right, so if they play a ball out to the 8, there seems to be a clear passing lane into the 9. What might be some information we'd want to give to the 6? Right, yeah, tell the 6 to drop off, right? Provide cover. So what we can use is, right, when we have 9s running all over the place, they're making runs, we can always look to use the 6, right, to help us, right, to front that player. And then now that entry pass in between the line, right, begins to close off, right, and we can become more compact, and now they can't look to play through us. So you can always use, right, the 6 to your advantage of looking to front that entry pass and let them know shift left, shift right. Right? Great information there about you guys. All right, another big one is when we talk about leadership, always being able to keep our shape and organizing players on when to step, right, when to drop off. In the event, right, that they are able to play into this window, right, and 9's able to receive it, our first reaction, right, should be is can we get tight in their back, potentially not allowing them to turn. What might we expect from our 3 and our 5 here?
Dropping behind them.
Yeah, right, drop behind, right, providing that cover, dropping in behind, because what our ultimate goal is, we're trying to protect the goal and the space in behind us, and we definitely want our outside back to tuck in here so that any runs that they try to run through, right, we're able to pick those up. So find that little pressure cover and balance. When we'll look to now and operate. So now we'll move higher up the field here, right, and looking at protecting some of the space in behind. So what might be some cues that we would notice that a player on their team, right, so we're still Blues going against the team in red. What might be some cues that they're going to look to play a bigger ball into this space behind our back line, right? Yeah, they pick their head up, right? So they start to kind of look beyond. What do we notice about what's in front of their 5 at the moment, right? Has lots of space. So that would be a cue of, right, we want to be prepared of them looking to play the long ball, that they may try to run runners in behinds. They've got space to take a bigger prep touch, right? Looking that foot go back and looking to play bigger balls. So that tells us we know we can look to be prepared to drop off to deal with any bigger ball they may play. Right? So some of your teams, though, may be able to look to apply pressure. And then if they're able to get what we call good pressure on the ball, and that player's head, right, is dropped and it's focused on the ball at their feet because they're being pressured by one of our teammates, that may allow us to get a little bit tighter and contract the space that we have in between here, right? Let's be in the offsides line of if they try to play entry passes, right, into an 8, right, we're more compact, or directly into a 9, we're more compact to look to step. So I think the first thing that starts with us reading cues on being able to protect that space in mind on when to step up and when to drop off is, can we read what the pressure on the ball looks like and be prepared from there. Next piece is, when we're looking at protecting the space in mind, is working with your partner. So a lot of times we talk about playing the back 4, you're going to have, if you're the 4 or the 5, you've got your partner with, and you have some sort of trust built up. If they're going to play a ball into the 9, right, high ball in the 9, and we need to look to challenge, what are some things that you do with your partner, right, and how you deal with a bigger ball that's played? So if they play a big ball, whether it's in the air, in the ground, do both players tend to step?
No, normally one will pressure the ball and then the other one will drop in case they get beat or if they don't get the ball.
Yeah, in case they get beat. So I think one common theme is they start to see, right, is what you'll see is when they look to play into a 9, they're going to try to run players off of them, whether it be a 7 and 11 making runs in behind, or a lot of times you'll see, let's say they play in a 2-3-1, right, and they have their 1-10. They'll look to try to play a big ball, and one's going to try to make a run off it in behind. I think it's super important that when this ball gets played, it's communicated on who's looking to potentially challenge. If it's in the air, one dropping off for the second ball that could be flicked on and behind if it's not one. But by at least challenging it with the 4 is that we're looking to make it uncomfortable for them so they can't play that initial ball. With it being right on that ground is if you're not able to get there and we're both not able to get there based off of the movement and runs that they make, is can we then look to read off their next touch? So a lot of times of when there's a big direct ball, right, it's harder for them to bring it down cleanly. If you're not going to be able to challenge before they get their first touch, whether it's jumping them within their body, right, stepping in front or getting tight in their back, can we look to find it off their first touch, whether they take it off their chest, off their foot, and if it's any bad touch at all, right, then we can read to try to win it off of that before they get their second touch on it, and we can look to step and potentially go the other way. So another way for us to help with defending, not just in our shape, but reading cues of how is that 9 going to bring the ball down? Are they going to look to flick it on? Because if we overcommit too early, and then they are able to beat us to it to flick it into that space that we just left, right? Now they're potentially taking runners in behind. All right, so now let's look on the attacking side for us, right? A lot of times now, right, we're no longer just defenders and helping our team defend. We have to be quality players on the ball. So let's try to name some of the attacking pieces that stand out to you as a player. You got give support. Great one. Getting the ball into the mids. Very good. All right, so looking at this list, being in the middle of the field, right, you're going to have to be a clean technical player, right? Being able to play in front of your goal because you are, right, almost that last person back. So it's important that you're able to pass and receive, being able to connect short passes to help us build. Right? I think at times you guys can also, when you look to win it and there's space in the front, looking to take possession with you into the midfield and create an extra player, whether if you're playing a 4-3-3 and you're able to step into that midfield with the ball, looking to draw players out, that's going to open up passing lanes as we try to find other midfielders to build to. Another important one, right, is being able to read the game, knowing when to go forward, knowing when to keep it. Ideally it's great if we can play forward all the time. Sometimes that may not be realistic. Maybe we aren't able to play to find the mids. Maybe we have to find our outside backs. Or dare even say it, maybe we have to go back to our keeper and reset and get our shape. All right, continue with the theme of leadership, right? Being from the back, being able to see the field. You guys can see more of the field than almost anyone on it because everybody else, if you think positional-wise, is playing basically back to goal when you have possession. So they're always having to be aware of what's behind them. But when you can look to communicate, not just defensively, but if I'm playing a ball into a 9, let him know who's stepping. I'm playing a ball into a center mid, right? Are they under pressure? Can they turn? Who's their next option that's making runs? We can always look to help direct the game from the back. And then some big ones, right? Being able to play precise passes over distance. So not only do we want to play short, that at times will draw defenders in, but we're going to have to be able to bypass what we call lines and skip those out to play behind those first and second line and maybe even the last line if they are high enough up the field. And then finally, being dominant in the air. Doesn't matter how tall you are, right? It's great to be tall if you can. You don't have to, right, to still be good in the air. We still see a lot of center backs get forward and they'll be in the box on corners and will score a lot of goals. So we'll look at some more tactical pieces here. Specifically looking at some building out of the back moments. One of the key things of when you're trying to keep possession of the team is the shape that you have. And so that starts with, right, expansive space, looking to use it all, looking to spread out the defenders when we can. And for teams that you've played on when you build out of the back, probably recently we've had to have our center backs split the width of the 18-yard box. Because because the ball has to leave the box for us to play short if it's off of goal kicks. Now, due to the change of rules, we can have our players in the box to get the ball quicker and allow us to play up. Why do we think that what does that allow us to do forward when we split our center backs the way that we do? What areas of the field do you think that opens up more? Yeah, it opens up some of the space on the sides. Yeah, great one by Lincoln, right? The center of the field. So now we actually create more passing lanes that we could potentially play into, right? We have our keeper could play directly into the 10, could play directly into the 9. If they're playing with 2 forwards instead, you could split them and find the 6. So that opens up space that they have to be able to pick up those lanes in the middle. And then we can play, right, wide around them if needed. What do we also notice, right, when we have our goalkeeper, we have our center backs, we have our 6, and this is their lone 9, right? If you notice, right, that's an earlier time that we're able to be numbers up and be able to keep the ball. And when we do play short, they start to, see if I can get the animation. They'll start to step up, and then we can look for options to play around and be able to skip that first line that they're defending with into the next line. And this starts to open up options for us to play. We can go into an 11, go into a 10 and turn out the other way. And if we don't like any of those options, we can always even go back to the 4 and swing it out the other side, right? As we have the most numbers back than what they've committed, we're at the advantage of being able to keep the ball. So let's look here at a video here from Spain and their kind of build up and how they've done it with center backs adding numbers. Whoop. So you'll see the big space that they're able to have with the ball, even though they're not necessarily being pressed extremely hard at the moment. As soon as they go back to their keeper, they're going to open up, looking to create more space inside. It's an easy little pattern of when teams look to try to put you under pressure is playing that little in and out pattern, attacking the middle space as they look to step, then finding the ball out wide, and we can look to go forward again. So it doesn't always even have to start off goal kicks, right? But being able to reset, and as that ball goes back, we're getting a big, wide shape, wide space. When you look where these center backs are, it's highly important, right, that they look to split on either side. Because what may happen is let's say, I believe this might be PK here. If he stays central as an option and he hides behind this 9 who's putting them under pressure, one, it's going to be more difficult for them to play to the middle as we're in that passing lane, right? And 2, we're not giving them multiple options. So I'm sure in possession games that you've done with your team, right, they talk about creating that triangle, giving a left and right option, even a deep option at times. And what we have here is many different options and even a bigger option to play out on the next ball due to the shape that they have. So one of my favorite center backs who's currently playing the game, right, is Virgil van Dijk. He's big, strong, right, very good defender, playing center back, but he has the great ability to help his team build, not just only with short passes, but with the range that he's able to play. So one of his strengths is being able to hit bigger diagonal balls directly into feet, whether it be on the ground, in the air, finding those early moments that's going to skip out right, multiple lines of defenders for them to go to goal. Finding little balls that even breaks all lines. And for those of you who've got skilled forwards on your team that can stretch the game, can make diagonal runs and behind, being able to find them when those runs are on. So here is a list of some professionals that I like to watch follow the game. I highly encourage you to look up some of these names, watch some of their videos of what they do and how they play the game. Maybe there's other ones you've heard of. There's plenty of other people obviously who play the position, but these are some ones that have always stuck out to me in what they do as a team. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Stu Trench. Stu is one of our directors in our club. He coaches at Concordia, St. Paul, the women's team there, helps with our girls' DA, and coaches in the girls' high performance. So he's gonna help us out a little bit and answer some questions and kind of tell us a little bit about the position and how he views it. Stu, you there?
Yep, I'm here, Blake. Thanks for having us.
How's it going?
Not bad.
Good. So first thing I would love for you to tell us about is you coach many different teams. Tell us a little bit about how your teams play and what the role of the center back is in your team.
Okay, perfect. So for me, it's a crucial position, as I think you're kind of the backbone of the team. You have a lot of responsibility, not just in and out of possession, but just as a leader and as a communicator. You need to take on a lot of roles there. So with my groups, I'll start kind of in possession. It's very similar to the video we just saw, or the two videos we just saw. I want the centre backs to get really expansive and be comfortable and calm enough to get onto the ball, and then from there make decisions to build attacks for us. So we don't want the old school would used to be give it to your centre back and then loft up the field. That style of soccer is kind of disappearing, and it's important that centre backs these days are willing to get on the ball and play into the midfield or play into forwards when possible. Another thing with that is if teams are going to be high presses, can centre backs start to play longer? So most of the time though, we're trying to play through the third, so we're trying to discourage just dumping it in behind. But if the other team is pressing us in a high situation, we'll look for the space behind. So centre backs need to have the ability to play two kind of different ranges of passing. Defensively, my groups tend to play more of a high pressing system. So our forwards are pressing their back line as quickly as we can. So our centre backs need to be really intelligent enough to recognise we need to keep the lines connected. So they need to push the whole team up. I try to keep 30 yards between our forwards and our centre backs, or 4 and our 5. So I put a lot of responsibility on them and my goalkeeper to keep us connected as a group.
Very good. Very good. Love that. Yeah, I absolutely believe, right? Center backs are more and more having to be good with their feet and distribute. So when we look at that, like what are some of the standout characteristics that you see of a center back? Maybe what's something that would jump out to you about a center back if you were watching the game?
Right. So you mentioned a lot of good ones. I was kind of making notes as I was kind of going along with it. So for me, first of all, defensively, right, you need to be good 1-1 defender. That's one of the most important things if you're going to play back there. You need to like the physical side of the game. You need to have a bit of competitiveness to you because you want to win kind of every challenge. There's a bit of pride in making sure that we keep that net not getting touched. So as much as we can we avoid them going forward? You've got to be willing to probably challenge in the air to play in that position, especially at the next level. If you want to go on and play in the collegiate level, I'm sure you're going to have to make sure that that's an area of your game that you're not shying away from if you want to be a 4 or a 5. You can read the game very well. You're calm on the ball. I think one of the important things is when you talk about playing into the midfield is it's not just passing into the midfield. You recognise when there's space, and sometimes as a 4 or 5, you can dribble into the midfield and create an overload that way, numerical advantage. So we call that breaking lines. We talked about getting expansive, and then if there's pressure very high and we don't have options to build out, you have the ability to skip that pressure. And then one of the things that we didn't quite touch on, which I don't know if it's just kind of old school or not, but I typically say 4 and 5s are good at set pieces. You're normally, when you watch the professional game, you'll see the 4 of the 5 go up to an attacking corner. So defending corner, they're kind of the main piece when they're defending corners. So I think that's, again, it goes back to being good in the air and being a competitor, and you want to win challenges. It's just traits that kind of come along with being a good 4 or a 5.
No, that's a great point about the set pieces, right? Getting in on both sides defensively, right, and attacking. It's a great way to, in games where you're playing and you can steal a goal off of a corner, free kick, right, helping your team get forward and communicating and being dominant in the air that way. So very good. One thing that's always stood out to me is what I kind of expect of my center backs are being leaders, and I think what I always notice about when I go like, oh, this guy must be a good player, good center back, is when they're super vocal and they're almost directing where everyone needs to go, needs to do, not only defensively, but when his team has the ball as well. We kind of touched on it a little bit, right? But I definitely feel like the game is definitely changing, where center backs, like they're not just defenders. They've got to be good on the ball. They've got to be a key role in the build out. Do you feel that's true? And does most of your teams look to try to build through their center backs?
Yep. So right now, whether it's I've got a Navy group, I've got a DA group, and I'm involved in a college program, and even I'm involved with the Olympic Development Program as well, ODP in Minnesota. Every one of those teams will try and build, and I think that's just the way the game's become. I think maybe me and Blake were growing up a little bit. You kids are kind of fortunate. You didn't have the old school. If you were a midfielder, you were just chasing up and down. You were never really getting on the ball. Everyone's now trying to play through the thirds. So I think for defenders, it's great. They're asking you to make decisions under pressure, and you're learning the game at a higher level. And I think I think the modern centre backs changed a lot, but it's a more exciting role than it used to be. It's not just winning the ball and passing it straight off to the closest person. You're making decisions and building now.
Good. And last question here before I open it up to other people. What is one big piece of advice that you would give to someone playing that position?
From a recruitment standpoint, like I think a lot of the traits are noticed quite away, right? If you're physical, you win one-on-one stuff. But for me, just being a vocal leader. And I don't think you need to yell to the entire team all the time, because I know that's not a lot of players' personalities. But if you're at least communicating to your other centre back, your outside backs, your holding midfielders, I think that goes a long way for you. It shows that you understand the game. It keeps the team organised, and you're playing a very vital role as a leader. And I think that's asking a lot of a kid, and I think it's a good trait to add or try and add to your game.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think something I've always told my team is when intensity drops or focus drops and we feel like we're not playing our best, I think the first thing that we can do and control as a team is communicating. And I do expect my center backs to start that as they are leaders on the team. But I think in general, regardless of your position, just by communicating, share information, it just tends to raise the overall level of play. I think my big advice that I would give to anyone playing center back is be brave. You're kind of the last line of defense at times. You're in what some might call like high risk situations of when you have possession of the ball, being the last one back. And so being brave and not being afraid to potentially make a mistake and just own what you do as a player. Right, so being brave of being able to connect passes. You don't just have to just kick it up the field. Be brave about being a leader. Brave about going in for tackles. And so I think that'd be probably the biggest thing I would give to those who play that position.
I don't know if it's a useful tip or not. I started out as a centre back when I was younger, and one of the things I always used to get told in the first 5 minutes or so is try and figure out your opponent. You know, are they trying to run in behind you? Are they trying to get the ball in front of you? What foot are they trying to receive with? How are they trying to turn? Like analysing all those things early in the game, you can kind of take away the one-trick ponies, right, and probably win your battle more successfully. But that was just a tip I kind of got when I was younger playing in that position.
Oh, absolutely. I think like every team you play against, they're forward or wingers or attacking mids, they they'll have different traits, and not every team you play is always the same. So what is the strength of their team? You're going to run into teams who has a fast forward, and they're just going to kick it to them. So how do you deal with their speed? What are they good? What are they not good at? So yeah, definitely knowing your opponent, reading what works, what doesn't work, definitely goes a long way. I want to open up to you guys here, who's here with us live. Put some questions in the group chat if you have anything. It could be on tactical situations, questions you have about the position. Either you can put them in the chat or you can ask them out loud. If they're in the chat, I'll try to read them out loud, and either Stu or I will look to tackle it. Anybody got any questions? All right. Oh, there we go. We got one coming in. Is one center back more of a midfield than the other? I think how I look at that question is maybe you're looking at one who potentially steps into the midfield, or maybe one's more dominant on the ball than the other potentially. I don't think it necessarily has to be that way. I know some teams are set up that way, that maybe they have someone who's more technical on the ball, and then they pair him with more maybe of an athlete next to him to be able to cover more space. I think the most ideal situation for me and my team would be to have two center backs that are able to be both very good on the ball. Because what I think that does is, if you can have two players plus your goalkeeper plus your six be able to keep the ball and build through there, that also allows outside backs on your teams to be able to cheat and get forward and create numbers up. So I think ideally, if you will, I would love to have almost like two midfielders playing as my center backs. I don't know if any of you guys have watched Man City play or some other high possession teams. A lot of times they'll take whoever their holding midfielder is, and they will play them as center back when they need to, so that they know that they can be able to dictate the game that way. Stu, can you see that question?
Yep, in the chat section, yeah.
Yep. That's how I took it. Is that what that?
Yeah, I'd second what you said perfectly. Yeah, that was a good response, I felt.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it. Feel free to always reach out if you have other questions. This will be posted online in about 24 hours. If you want to go back and look at it and look at some of the stuff. Appreciate you guys taking the time. You guys enjoy your night.